There we go. So, hello.
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 Don't sit back too much in the other shot.
Hi, my name is Louise Taylor, and this is Children of the Revolution, and this is
Stephen Bradley. I run an online magazine called Bout Yeh.
Bout Yeh. Isn't that great?
Bout Yeh.
Bout Yeh. So it's nice we just met, and now we're sitting very close for a nice.
Gotta get a good tight shot here. You see.
Yes, you see.
We're not. Don't worry about being physically close. It's the shot that counts.
Okay. So I'll start with the question that I ask everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think we need a revolution?
Yes, we do. We need all sorts of revolutions for all sorts of reasons. Everybody should have one for their own reasons, to empower themselves.
Oh yeah.
And hopefully it'll help society too. But I also think, not want to be too much of a downer, but I think everybody has revolutions and they are a good thing, and they keep, I suppose I'm talking about government and power, revolutions, while they don't always succeed, they're a good thing. They're usually started from the heart, but they can be jumped on and manipulated by people who want to then control and manipulate people for their own ends, which is the sad thing.
Yeah.
But that doesn't happen all the time, obviously, just sometimes. But again, as I was talking to you earlier on, I think revolutions will always happen, they will always continue, but there will always be people who will want to control and manipulate people to their own ends, and they're usually, maybe not always, the ones that succeed, because they are bad and ruthless, and maybe the good guys sort of don't get down in dirt the way these guys would. So it's a swings and roundabouts thing, and I think it's the nature of the beast, it's the nature of humanity. It's always going to happen.
Right.
But I don't know if things are going to change dramatically for the better anytime soon. They haven't in thousands of years.
Really?
I think so.
So you think it's like an innate feature of humanity to be manipulative? Corrupt?
It's an innate feature maybe of humanity to be manipulative. I think we all maybe have it, but we all don't use it because we don't want to. Just some seem to think it's the way I want to go, and away they go.
No, well, that's interesting, because I would often say about I'm interested in manipulation, because I think we do want what we want.
Yes.
But it's how you go about it, I suppose. Because I think sometimes people are thinking of themselves, whereas sometimes people are thinking of the greater good.
Yes.
That might be the difference.
I agree. I think that's fine, and to have any sort of effect on society, any sort of positive effect, is a good thing.
Yeah.
For society and for the people that do it.
Yeah. So can you tell me a little bit about Bout Yeh?
Yes. Bout Yeh is an online magazine celebrating things Northern Ireland.
Yay!
That's the USP, the unique selling point. But basically I started this through discovering a website called Humans in New York.
Yes.
Which I think a lot of people know about. It was started by a young guy who wanted to be a photographer, went to New York. Excuse that noise, that's Ozzy the dog outside.
He's lovely.
And he's playing this teddy bear, hopefully he won't come in here. So this guy tried to get work as a photographer, working for agencies and magazines, and he wasn't having much he wasn't succeeding really that well. So during all of this, he went to Times Square and started photographing interesting and colourful, eccentric characters.
Yeah.
But from that, they started telling him their stories, and they covered everything from life, death, relationships, sex, work, divorce. And now this young fella was invited to the White House by President Obama. His book was a New York Times bestseller. My son's got it from me a couple of years ago. It's very inspirational. I highly recommend it. So I want Bout Yeh to be a Northern Irish version of Humans in New York, insofar as I want to interview and learn from people who I photograph and interview. Learn their life lessons, their stories that have had a positive effect on them, so the audience of Bout Yeh can probably get something from it and hopefully share it with friends.
I love it. I just think it's such a good idea. It's such a lovely thing to do, to hear people's stories.
It is, and it's nice that someone will trust you to tell you their story. And I think sometimes when I interview people, initially they'll have a bit of a wall up, but when they realise they're not being judged, they'll open up a bit more. And I think knowing that anybody's interested in you and what you do and your story is nice to know, and it's also empowering to think that a story that you've shared on Bout Yeh will be picked up by other people, and hopefully it'll have a positive effect on their outlook in life.
Yeah. And so it's like one of the things that I really, when looking at a lot of the images, they're just beautiful.
Thank you.
So can you tell me a bit about like the photography and the way you work, like setting up the photography, like, because you said a bit about how you interview, and it sounds like you're just, the empathy, the compassion, the kindness makes people want to open up.
Yes.
But what is it about the images? Like, can you tell me a bit more about like your photography?
Well, I have a background. I started out in editorial photography. Well, it was news photography. I worked for a small photo agency in Belfast called Pacemaker in the early 80s. And there were 2 staff photographers. It was a small place. We worked out of a basement initially, but we did move to bigger premises. But these 2 photographers, me and Martin Wright was the other guy that ran the place along with his partner, covered the main news stories, which were the troubles and the violence in Northern Ireland in the early 80s. I was, as a person, I was scared of my own shadow, never mind anything else. I was socially awkward, but put me behind a lens in a scene where I can see images and I want to make something dramatic out of it. It was the image that compelled me and still does. I want to create images that tell a story, whether it's photographing a riot, it could be an IRA funeral, terrible things, but you're letting other people see, I suppose, the truth. If you look at a news image, it's not manipulated or changed to suit the agenda of the publication it's in. The image on its own is a truth that really can't be altered, I suppose.
Oh, well. It couldn't be altered in the 1980s.
Well, it couldn't be altered Photoshop-wise in the 1980s.
Yes.
Maybe things are a bit different now.
Yes.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
But in regard to photographing people for Bout Yeh, so I did editorial photography. I did news photography for 5 years. For 2 of those years, this shy, insecure young man was the Northern Ireland News Photographer of the Year.
Oh, wow.
But maybe it wasn't because I was that good. I think I just covered heavy stories, serious stories at the time.
Oh, wow.
So that was interesting, and that was empowering for me to discover that I didn't do well at school at all, but give me a camera and I was in control. I think that was the thing. It was a control thing. I felt I was in control of what I was doing. Up until then, I didn't do well at school. Socially, I wasn't having a great time. It was okay, but the photography thing was fantastic, and also seeing my work on the front of the New York Times, Der Spiegel, Washington Post, The Economist was a rush. It was a blast, but it also sort of let me know I was maybe more than I thought I was.
That's great.
So
that's like, that sounds like there's been one hell of a journey career-wise.
Yes.
And the changes, so this is a change of direction.
Well, now I know how to use a camera. I know how to. I also worked in the Telegraph. I did a lot of check presentations. They're quite staged. There's nothing much to them. So when I photograph people, I want to see who they really are. I don't want cheesy grins. I just want them looking at the camera. They can smile if they want to smile. If they don't want to smile, they don't have to. I like to think some of my images tell the person of the story. I like to think some of my images tell the story of the person without the words having to be read. Sometimes they do, and sometimes that sort of supports what I show in my images. Yeah.
Well, why do you think, like, so creativity? So you're very creative. So imagery and things like that. There, what do you think is the like? Where do you think that creativity comes from? That eye, that noticing, that seeing things in that way. Where do you think it is?
I think it's me, and I think I'm easily bored. So I didn't do well at school, so I can't read a science book. I can't learn, I don't know, quantum physics. It doesn't interest me. Maybe if it interested me, I could learn quantum physics. School, the subjects didn't interest me for whatever reason. Maybe I was lazy, I don't know. But so At the moment, I photograph clouds. I do Bout Yeh, I enjoy that. But at the moment, I'm sort of sidestepping into photographing clouds.
Oh, love it.
Over Northern Ireland. And while I can photograph a nice sky and there's maybe some sidelight lighting up a big cloud and it's got a lot of depth and emotion and all the rest of it, I then bring it into Photoshop on my computer and enhance what I photographed even more. And sometimes I'll make an adjustment, I'll darken the thing down, it'll become an image that I didn't even think I'd taken. It'll become like a Turner painting. So I'm playing.
Yes.
But these prints are selling for up to $1,900 a pop on the Saatchi. It's a big world gallery, Saatchi gallery online. So I'm getting something out of it. I'm not making a lot of money at the moment. I've only sold 2 prints in about a year.
Yeah.
But
you're playing.
I enjoy playing. I think everybody does.
Well, I think that's when you can find play and you can make that your job. I think you're winning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
Oh, that's brilliant. So, the creativity and play. What do you think about creativity in Northern Ireland? About the arts and things like that in Northern Ireland? How do you feel about it?
I think the arts are interesting here. I really love the murals that are going up all over Belfast. Some of them are fantastic. Mm-hmm. And the fact that we're getting noticed internationally, the fact that a lot of tourists are coming here because of the Game of Thrones, and seeing all this stuff, seeing all this art around the town.
Yes.
And sharing it, and sharing it on social media. So that's a fantastic thing. But I don't think we should just focus on the art being made or coming out of here. There's so much interesting stuff all over the world being made now and has been made over hundreds of years. Yeah,
but one of the things I think here is that there isn't really a healthy respect for art, the arts and creativity. Whereas actually what they're projecting in the future is creativity and creative thinking is going to be one of the skills that people need to succeed in the modern world, because the landscape, the employment is changing and jobs are changing. But actually we're not encouraged to be creative, free thinkers a lot of the time.
Is that because the jobs don't need it, don't require it at the moment? Maybe things are going to change?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's it. A lot of the jobs are just like step. Whereas they're saying, years ago people would have got a job for life. Now they're saying you change career quite a few times, which your career is a good example. My career, I changed career a few times. But that's something they're saying that a lot of young people need to be able to roll with. That changing.
Yeah.
That kind of thing, but that's not actually encouraged. That creative thinking, and apparently creativity is where solutions to problems lie. Things like that there. But we don't value it.
Can you clarify for this person what you meant by your last statement, that creativity can be a solution to problems?
Yes. So right.
Sorry, the interview's changed.
This has gone direction. So right. So if you've got a problem and you don't know how to do it, well, if you're very creative and out of the box, they like that thinker, you're able to maybe think of about 15 to 30 different ways of doing things. They give people like a brick and say, what can you do with the brick? And you have to come up with about 50 different things to do with the brick. Sure. But so you're able to come up with a lot of different ways to look at it. Whereas if you hamper creativity, they'll be like, there must be some way to do this. And they might look for one way. Whereas people who are very creative are going to look for many. They're going to be thinking, right, where are the limits? What are the things? What can I do? Because creative thinkers, like what you're doing with the clouds and everything is completely different. Like it's you're just thinking, right, here's something I'm really interested in. Let's explore it in depth.
Sure.
Whereas, you're not interested in maybe the other subjects because they didn't interest you. Whereas the things that interest you, I think that's where, with my writing and everything, I'm able to see things differently through the creativity, by allowing the creativity to just exploring it and having fun. But we're not taught that.
Yes. And how could that change? I mean, maybe that's your revolution.
Yeah. How can it change? Can you make people creative thinkers?
I think if you make people aware of their creativity, because it's a thing you can play with, people will jump on it.
It's so fun.
Yeah, it could be painting, it could be taking pictures, I don't know, it could be all sorts of things. It could be sailing a boat.
Selling a boat?
Sailing a boat.
Oh, sorry.
Sailing a boat.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've run out of steam.
Yeah, but that's it, yeah. So, so creativity. I think creativity is important for everybody. But so is there anything else you'd like to say?
I suppose touching on creativity, maybe we all should do it. Do a painting. Even though I think you can't do a painting, do it anyway, just for the hell of it. Just to get away from the norm. There's a lot of guys go and play golf, and I think some of the time it's for social reasons.
Mm-hmm.
I think, they probably do realise that they're getting away from the normal run of life. They're getting they can just focus on the ball, enjoy the grass, enjoy a nice day, and everything else just sort of dissolves into the background for a while. And that's a good thing as well. So you're being creative, you're painting, you're taking photographs.
Writing.
But when you're doing that, it's getting a bit artsy-fartsy to say, you're also meditating insofar as you're just focusing on one thing and you're enjoying the moment, you're enjoying what you're doing. You maybe got a bit of a tough life, maybe you don't, if you're lucky. But doing a creative practice of any sort will just help you relax and chill, and maybe become aware of abilities that you don't realise you have. So that in itself will empower you. You can do a painting. People might think it's rubbish. You might think it's rubbish, but you enjoy doing it, and that's the bottom line.
I love that.
Go for it.
Go for it. Thank you so much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you so much for your time. And Bout Yeh. That's for
BoutYeh.com. Don't forget, have a look. And thanks again for listening to our spiel.
Thank you. Bye.